Okay. Can you hear me? Yeah? Okay. So, hello everybody and welcome. We are gathered here. Higher? Higher. Is it better? Yeah. So we're gathered here under the umbrella of Recipes for Commoning. Recipes for Commoning is a series of intimate and informal sessions with art professionals across different geographies who work with the idea and practices related to commoning, collectivity, funding, economical sustainability, and resource sharing between various actors in art and culture. So these were meetings in which we met over the idea of starting from food as a practice of resource sharing and through sharing of a recipe and sharing knowledges around food-related topics, and from there talking about our ways of thinking and working and our possibilities related to the topics that I just mentioned. And the sessions were joined, joined me Collective, which is represented here by Engy and Rania, and Talasniemi, who is here, and Federica Bueti, who couldn't be with us, unfortunately. And we met regularly over this format, and we talked about these topics, where you can check out a video installation that is a compilation of these talks in Studio 2 throughout the program. So give it a look if you have some time to. And okay, so through this gathering around food and talking about our working conditions, there were different questions that came up. I'm just going to mention a few of them as a start point. So we were thinking of how do we share resources? How do we create networks of collectives that can share expertise, existing platforms, funds to continue to sustain themselves when private and public funds are shrinking? How do we practice setting boundaries when working collectively? Could we demand of an institution that it commits to a kind of a conditional exchange that frees the receiver of the fund from having to have obligations towards the funding body? What are the tools and conditions that make a non-colonized dialogue possible? When and how do we practice refusal of the situations and conditions that make what we do impossible, and impossible to imagine doing it otherwise? How do we practice refusal of the situation and conditions that make what we do impossible and impossible to imagine otherwise? Shall we let the situation unfold and take the back seat? Shall we exit the institution? What are our tools to use or hijack this kind of institutions and this kind of situations? What are the tools that we are demanding from art funders to share with us other than money? How do we engage in practices of collaboration and resource sharing that do not rely on NGO or charity model? So these were a few of the thoughts that we went through in these sessions. And I'm not going to talk too much. Without further ado, I introduce you Collective. Thank you.
Hi everyone, and thank you for joining us for this informal afternoon. It looks intimidating a bit, but it's not. We're just going to be cooking and enjoying your company, and also later on we're going to be working with an excerpt from the Rehearsing Hospitalities companion, the Reader 4, and we're going to be playing a few word games. But first, let me introduce you to the two of us. My name is Engy, Mohsen, and
Rania,
Atef, and we're here representing Collective, which is a group of 5 artists who came together 5 years ago. And I think it's also similar to so many situations that we've been hearing over the past few days, that we came together despite the lack of resources and, in a situation of scarcity. And I think I'm gonna briefly show you something about Collective, which you can later on have a closer look at. So the 5 of us are artists who practice differently. We have different interests, and I think the question when we came together was how to practice this together. And it wasn't to work together towards production, but to work together towards co-facilitation. And so when we were invited to contribute to Rehearsing Hospitalities, it was quite a challenge for us because we don't really know how to even write together. So it was such a big question for us, co-authorship. And we're 5 different people and we're based in different cities, so even communication for us was a bit a challenge in how to overcome this. It was a long discussion with Yvonne and even a longer discussion in the backstage of how to do this. And I think eventually we wanted to do something that sits across some shared thought, but then also practice. Because the question was always, how do we practice hospitality in the bigger sense amongst each other, but then how do we extend this beyond this group of 5? And our website is basically how we exist together, because we always communicate even online. And I also feel the need to do this. This is everyone who's not here, so it's our also collaborators. And as you can see, the website looks a bit playful because we always communicated over WhatsApp, for example. This was our main means of engaging with each other, but also with our practices. And we wanted to retain this playful aspect somehow. And this is how we came to think of, sorry, 1 second. This is how we came to think of the contribution that we developed for the reader. Okay, I can't find it. Yeah. Yeah, so we invite you to check the website at a later stage if you'd like, but then we can start now with introducing you a bit to the dish that we would like to cook, because when we met online it was always a conversation about the conditions in which all of those people have to work through, and then also we would always mix it with a dish that has a bit of a backstory.
Yes, I'm the chef today. So we're going to cook. It's a traditional dessert in Egypt. It's called in Arabic sad al-hanak, or we couldn't find the proper translation for it. It was difficult, but yani, the nearest thing was how to feel the palate. The palate is the upper part of the mouth. Yes. So the components are very simple. They are flour and butter and water and sugar. So, and you can put maybe nuts if you eat nuts. So it's so simple, and it's heavy dessert. So you should not feel hungry after it. So we start with the first game we have, and then we cook between the first game and the second game, and then we eat at the end. Yes.
Okay, so back to the games. I think the choice of working with a game was something born out of the desire of using a structure that is familiar to probably everyone. So we chose crosswords and word games. And for us, it was also a tool to think through practicing playing a game. Because most of the things that we're going to be discussing can be seen as buzzwords. You know, it's things that we're very used to by this point. We hear them every day, and we don't really stop to think twice when hearing those terms. And for us, it was also to try and establish that sometimes we interpret certain concepts or constructs differently, also depending on the type of practice where every person is coming from. And I learned this also very recently because in my study program, I have people from different disciplines, very different disciplines, and we always go in with the assumption that when I say a certain term, I mean something, and then the other person would understand it in the same way. But then you realize that, for example, if you work in sonography,
you can
maybe just pass the rest. Thank you.
Here.
Thank you.
Can you pass it to? So,
it's too small, huh?
Homework.
Need more.
It would take me like a year to finish this.
So,
How many people I should include?
Pin and mark.
Yes, so about the games, we were always thinking of using a game as a format. So the terms that we're going to be discussing are maybe important to our collective somehow. But the idea was to also think of it as a structure that can be recreated and that this becomes more of an exercise that can be used at a later stage with your collective or colleagues or co-workers so that it becomes more a space for revisiting all of these concepts.
Hassan.
So, okay, we can start.
We start with the first one. Okay. So do you need some time before we start thinking together so we can think individually and then we can join you, or you want us to join from the beginning? Huh? Okay. So what is narrow at the top, wide at the bottom? Yeah. A tree.
There's also a microphone
Okay, it
if
should
you want.
be like 1, 2, 3,
A pear?
4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
Fruit?
9.
No.
Be 9 letters?
9 letters.
Yes, because you have to.
It's the
A
first
big
row.
bear.
The first row. Huh?
A big pear.
Big. It should fill the first row. So it should be 9 letters. This one. Yeah. 9 letters. So we have.
Triangle?
So who?
I'm over here.
I can see
Ah.
us.
Is it a triangle?
No.
No.
Oh.
So maybe we can have clues. Maybe we can.
Yeah,
introduce-
we planned it in a way to we can be able to give you further clues.
Yeah. It is.
Yvonne does. She edited the publication, so of course she knows.
Okay, it's status, power, position. Yeah? Ah, yes. So the first one is hierarchy. Yeah. So, start the second one?
Yeah. The second one is a literary form transcribing an exchange. Yeah.
Yeah. How do you know it so easily like that?
Took us more time to come up with them.
Yeah.
Okay, then we move on to the third one, which is bear the weight of something or lift it off of someone. Yeah. So the third one is support, in case you didn't hear it, second row.
It should disperse you.
I see.
I didn't say anything.
So we are in number 4.
Number 4.
And there for the taking.
Support.
No.
Maybe we can have, there is a dash after the 4th letter.
Yeah, the fifth box should
The
has a
fifth box,
hyphen.
yeah.
So it's a hyphenated word. No, it's quite close to self-serving, but no, we can give you another clue, which is free distribution accessible. Yeah, free and distribution and accessible, like these 3 words. Yeah.
Maybe they need a third clue.
Okay,
You can
so
say third clue, yes.
it's the last one. Go ahead.
Yes. Made freely available. No.
Yeah. Open source.
What was it?
Open source. Yes.
Open source.
Yes, we are in number 5. There is no such thing as bad publicity. Yeah.
Close enough.
Okay. Do you need a pen? Yeah, okay. Huh? Sorry?
Rumors.
Rumors. No, it's I think it's more official than this.
Maybe we can
rumors.
say clue?
I mean, a second clue can be that
Maybe we can say clue, another clue?
yeah, another clue can be that it's an opinion piece.
Critique.
Close?
A
Review.
different form of critique.
Yes.
Yeah.
Review, yes. Number 6, system, structure, routine. No.
Another clue can be this is more of a definition, which is official organization. Institution.
So, number 7, structured information. No. It's something similar to, yeah, close to the archive, but it's more than, huh? Yeah, database, yes. And number 8, file, copy, download. Huh? No. We can find maybe we can have a clue. A present format for a document or file. A present.
No, a preset format
A preset?
for a document.
Oh, a preset format for a document or file. No. No.
What?
For a document or file.
Shortcut?
No. Maybe this is no. It's like a big umbrella where Excel sheet and Google document.
Not
No.
software. A third clue can be that all are one of the same.
Megabyte?
Huh?
Megabyte?
No.
Okay, no, but it's not necessary. I think
Maybe we have. Okay, I can see.
or we can come back to it later, I think.
Okay, we can come back later to it. So
So-
you leave it now.
8.
And yes.
Number
9.
9 is easy. Yeah, index.
No.
It's the second finger.
10. 10. Welcome. Request. Collaboration.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's invitation.
Who said invitation?
Someone here.
Oh.
You.
Yes. She said invitation. So the last one.
Close enough. Community. yeah.
Community. Yes, it's only.
And cheesily enough, the hidden word is, of course, hospitality. Yeah. It wasn't by design.
Yeah.
But I think this should give you an extra clue on number 8, which is still
It
not.
contains an L, letter L.
We can give it away. No. It's something that exists and then like has replicas. So it's.
No.
This is the. I wish. Yvonne, can you say it? You can't remember.
Say it. Okay, I will say it. Template. Yeah.
I'm sorry to frustrate everyone.
So.
Yeah, so this was more of a warm-up just to get you into the nature of the exercises that we are going to play. I think the coming one is more discussion-based, and it's very subjective. And also like a short note on how we designed this. We always thought of creating a game and then playing it together and then see what comes out of it. So Rania and I sort of made the selection, and then everyone started writing the different clues that we used. So they can be word associations, they can be riddles, and they can be a very ambiguous definition, just to confuse people. And then we were meeting online to play these games, and then it becomes like when you see it in the book, you don't really understand what came first. Is it the game or the discussion, or if it's a continuous process of this? And now we're gonna go maybe start a bit of the cooking.
Yes. Maybe we can have a break, like break or not break.
Yeah, we can have a break now, and then we can start the cooking also
Yes,
in
5
parallel.
minutes. Just 5 minutes. Oh, so we can prepare the thing, and then we come back to the second game. Yeah. عايزين بقى نسخن.
خليته يقفل عشان
Oh,
Do you have your mic?
Yes.
Yeah, they have the mics on. Yeah, because you were already speaking, but this is a small circle, so
Maybe
we
you
thought
can
that
use
we're
this one
excluding
better.
everybody that is out there.
عايزة نكمل؟
Huh?
ايوه قصريه كده
Kids are put in a room to play where the German kids
Yeah.
are eating.
Yeah.
Yeah, our friends really were also telling the same thing when they were invited to play over the afternoon. Then the Germans sat down for eating and put the Turkish
Yeah.
kid in the room so they could
Makes
eat
sense.
quietly without it.
Yeah. Yeah. Last year, like, was a big. Oh, I'm sorry.
yes a little bit
No,
yeah.
last year on Twitter
I
was
didn't
like
know
this
it
whole
here.
Sweden gate about this people sharing the memories of Sweden and Finland, where they have been excluded out of a meal when they were a guest in someone's house.
It's something else.
So like that was like sort of the idea that like the first thing that you would share with somebody, or the most like common thing to share with somebody, is food. And then like if you don't even share food with somebody, how can you share other resources, you know, or opportunities?
زي ما انت عايز.
Yeah, that's strange.
maybe you can add the
Yeah.
water
But
شوية؟
لا استنى.
so it was common also in Germany.
طبق ها؟
لا
Apparently.
we have to put
Okay.
Last holidays we were with my brother and they're like teachers and so and they met with their friends and then we were barbecue on the beach and I thought okay
and
let's
then
buy
we have to
something
put 3 sugar no
Sorry. Okay. I don't want to talk on the, yes. It's a private conversation. Dalia wants to be part of this conversation, no? Okay. It's not ready yet. Here is the same.
yes we have
Here
to
is the same.
here it and
You
then-
come with your pack of sausage
but
and
just wait until we
do that. And it, but I mean, I've ruined it already for everybody because I just do this massive grills and it's just like everybody eats this.
ابتدت
some sausages were done other ones
Uh-huh.
so the children were sitting around and said no it's our sausage because
Oh my god.
it's like a syrup.
Just water and sugar?
Yeah.
yeah
but actually it would be interesting to know where it comes from.
I think it's an Ottoman thing.
No, because I turned off the heat and I'm very
Like
scared
where
it's
the
burning.
not sharing food comes from. I don't know. I don't really know.
you think it's getting brown or yeah
Where does
really
it come
yeah.
from that Northern Europeans don't share their food? Where does it come from? I don't know. I was just wondering.
They wouldn't have enough because it's colder climate.
Why don't we share?
I'm not saying no. I'm
I mean,
just
I don't know if it's true, but like,
with who
It's true. It's absolutely true.
with who share food with who
each other.
with each other oh
no. You don't want to give your opinion publicly.
but you disagree about something. Do you disagree?
No, I agree.
you agree with
It's
what
really like this. But maybe it's so embarrassing that we don't want to speak it into this.
Thank you for the honesty.
Also the French.
Yeah.
Oh, but we have to steer يعني gradually so I can give it
Yeah,
to you and
but
then
it was
you
also because it started from like kids, like immigrant kids being in like European houses, and then the parents call the child to come to dinner and leave the kid in the room, so they don't take the kid to eat too.
كلهم كده كونيهم
And then this was like a lot of people sharing their stories on Twitter. Yeah, in like, huh? Yeah.
تلميهم مع بعض ايوه كده جنب بعض ايوه عشان هي تمسك بقى
Because this started in Sweden. It was called Sweden Gate, but then
Yes,
Finland,
we would
yeah,
need
but then
another,
Finland was like, oh, everybody's the same. Hey,
جديد معنا؟
That is, we need, can someone help? Yes, we need another cup with 3 sugar.
oh my god.
هاتيهم كده ايوه. ليه بقى؟ كده مع بعض.
عجينها يعني؟
ايوه
I
هي
have no idea. I'm not a big sugar fan.
Yes. 3 spoons.
Sweets are not my thing.
Yes, she has a spoon. ايوه هي تبتدي بص تبقى عجينه كده. ايوه ايوه. برافو يا انجي. تمسكي حسن طيب وانا
انا شايفه مش عارفه ممكن.
Are you concerned about the sound not being streamed, or because I feel like when I take this, then people are like, oh, I'm giving a public opinion, but when this is not there, they start talking, you know?
Yeah.
Is it fine? Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I just feel like it just brings, it ruins the intimacy.
It's good feeling, no? The thing, because it's when you are
The conversations are happening. How are you? Okay, I may be tired, but
Oh, it's okay.
very long.
I'm sorry, it's like
No, it's okay.
Oh,
Yeah. No one of us is a chef. Yeah. I think we have to
yeah, I
wait
actually really enjoyed like
until
when I was
it's,
editing it. I was like, oh,
yeah.
there's a lot of good
Ah,
moments
okay.
here. Yeah. I mean, I would share it with everybody. Yeah. I would just put it on my Google Drive. Yeah. Hello.
Should you want to?
chef, no, we are, you're made to cook.
Yeah. I think it's this one.
حطها كلها؟
يعني كده.
Nowhere. It was. Yeah. We would make it a career.
ممكن نوطي شوية.
Maybe next year, if I don't have any grants, I will get into DJing.
More, yeah.
Huh? No, it was just like, I know what's saying that. His friend was asking, because I was playing in Anna's party,
اديله موز.
and then the friend was asking where does the DJ usually play,
موزة
so we
ممكن
can go
يسكت
dance.
بموزة.
I'm like, if I next year I don't get a grant, I have to do that.
No, but let's have more independently of that.
Independently, yeah. No.
In Arabic it's called Sadd al-Hanak, or in English it's called how to fill the palati, which is the upper.
يعني we have to leave it a little bit. How to fill.
To stay, that is.
But يعني we are almost done.
Which was
Sadd
the
al-Hanak.
next game, I think.
Yes. Okay.
Sadd al-Hanak, yeah, which is the upper part of the mouth. Yeah. Yeah, because it's meant to make you very full, and this is where the name comes from, because it's a very heavy pastry.
I was hoping to get some Farbod food, but I didn't, so I need to satisfy my hunger with something.
Oh, sorry. Farbod didn't get his food either.
No?
It ran out. People came for seconds, and then it was out.
No, you got
And I was so sad, like one of the women working here didn't get it. I was like very upset. Perfect.
Engy, let's start the second game so
Okay.
we can,
Yeah.
Thank you, Liv.
I'll make use of the chance that everyone is here already, so we can start with the second
Okay.
game. Yeah.
He's also an inspiring artist.
Okay.
If you're a writer,
It's a different game. Just give me a few. I just go that way to disperse them.
No, I تقلبي بس هو انت حاجه تقلب بس لحد هتلاقيها
You want
تمسك كده.
It's a new one. Yeah. No worries. New one. Do you want one? I don't think so. No, no, no.
No,
Then
it's
if
the
you
other
have
way
one-
around. It's a different game.
Yeah. Yes, we are going to just
Also, if you'd like to stick around, no problem.
Oopsie.
Yeah. Yeah, you can move freely. You don't have to back to your
Doesn't matter. Hello.
A little devil.
Zeus قوي.
فعلا
I saw the opportunity and seized it.
اقلبها.
It's not started yet. Please don't cheat. Turn the back side. Yeah, in Iran they wouldn't let us see the thing. You were like the other side, and then when they say you can turn, like you don't see the questions first.
Okay. So
I think
we're in.
everybody
Yes,
has.
we need
You want?
to distribute.
Yeah, yes.
We did
distribute-
already.
Yeah. Okay. So.
It's
Yeah,
distributed,
can I have one? Thank
of course.
كده خلاص احنا لو قلبناها خالص ممكن نسيبها شوية.
عطفي؟ ونعمل تاني ولا خلاص كفاية؟
لا خلاص بقى لما نبقى خلصين يعني كل واحد واحدة كده وخلاص يعني.
الأولاد صغيرة فحلو.
أيوة.
Okay. Thank you very much. Did you get some food? I'm very sorry. I'm very sorry. My heart was hurting for you. I mean, I didn't eat it either, but it doesn't matter. But I'm very sorry.
مش كوميها بقى كده انت كده في النص.
And you see, like,
وأنا هجيب
some
له
people
غطا
didn't even
وأحطها
eat it.
هنا. أنا ما غطيتهاش. ممكن تقفليها.
Yeah. Yeah.
رانيا رانيا هنا احسن دي كبيره قوي معاكي
طيب ماشي.
انقل
You need help?
Yes. No, we need to pour this into this and that's it.
Then
and
we
will
go back.
cover it. Yeah.
Does it matter? Do you need it here?
I think it's fine. You can also just pass it around or leave it here because people are going to be preparing the molds later so that they can have a look. That's fine. Yeah, I know I have. It's fine.
So, yeah,
Speak a
it's
little bit
working.
louder.
Okay.
So we are back.
Hassan is the only one
Yes,
that
we
speaks
are
the
back
right
to.
sound.
Yeah.
إيه نعلي صوتنا.
A
Okay.
little bit.
So,
Okay, we can come back to the games if everyone has had a break. Also, I can maybe give a little bit of a context of how this looks like in the publication. Because for us it was very important to give a bit of context on where we as a group, as practitioners, as individuals come from, and also what is the economic context that we work through as artists. And I think it's also important or like worthy of mentioning that we came together after the pandemic. So we also came together at a time where there was a lot of resources being given out without much restrictions. So it was in a different context than what was before and what also came after and what we're normally used to. So for us, it was important to give a bit of a contextualizing introduction and then have the games somewhere in between, and then some of them are with solutions or like already half done, some of them are not. And then also in the publication, we have some of the reflections or like excerpts from the discussions that we had while playing those exercises. So it comes as a process of these different elements. And we can now start with the second game, which is actually the first one in the book. But we thought we would start with the other one because it's more of a warm-up.
Yeah.
And then here you will see that it's a word search game. And the first 5 words we have already found, the 5 of us from the collective. And the game has to be played in a way that we will give you some time to find the words, but if you find a word that you particularly feel a connection to or that it means something to you, we would ask you to share with us what, like how would you define this word? And it's a very personal approach, like there's no right or wrong with this game.
Yes, when we first played it together, the 5 of us, we just had a conversation about how each of us feels towards these definitions. How everyone see, like, for example, knowledge. What is knowledge? How do you see? So everyone had his own definition. So there is no right definition for this. So you can go and then, yeah.
Just alert us if you find a word.
Yeah.
Huh? I think so. You can share. Okay. Engy.
Yeah.
I found care.
You found care, yeah. And would you be able to provide us with a definition of care in your own terms?
In my own terms. I guess care for me is an emotional investment, but it's also I think it's also a framework of providing safe space for oneself and also for others. Care can be an exchange. Yeah, I'm not sure what else to add.
Yeah. Space for others. And I think space for others is a good thing that we always miss. Space for others.
Yeah, I mean, it's physical, emotional space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did anybody find
Any other words
other
somebody wants to share? Sarah,
Actually,
you have something?
actually, this is my favorite game. Away from this, I always do it in the newspaper and online and this thing.
Do you want to share one? No?
I can just give me a second.
Share.
I found contributor, and I guess when I think of that, it's like your
Contribute. Okay. Do you have a definition for a contributor or?
yeah. I guess that there's already something that exists, so then you're putting in your own version of something into a framework that's already there, but then also, yeah, I guess that interplay between yourself and what already exists.
No. No. Contributor.
It's empty.
Yeah, what does it mean to
I was
you?
serving the food. So.
I was thinking because I think all the day we are contributing to something, or maybe because my position, so I always contribute to my child, I contribute to art, I contribute. And sometimes we had like these contributions should be paid or not.
I feel like they depend, right? Like
Yeah.
on what the situation is.
Yeah. And what kind of situations that maybe your contributions is not paid or valued? Let's say maybe valued, not paid.
I'm thinking
I'm
because
thinking too.
there's plenty of times that you contribute
Yeah.
to something where you're not paid, but then of course it has endless other values. Like
Do you know when we first started the collective, we didn't have any kind of funding. We just aimed to have a contribution from each of us. Like, even if it's a time, we can contribute like 2 or 3 hours. Each one, let's say I can contribute with 2 hours per week, or maybe I can contribute 8 hours per week to work on the website and the type of knowledge we generate. So that's before we have fund. And even the funding, we don't, it was from 2 years ago, so it ended now, so it's kind of contribution and it's not paid. Yes, it's
Yeah.
time, yes.
how do you decide, I guess, what
It's
each person contributes, or you have certain
Yes, we have
roles, or-
different roles, so we can, like, I will do this, and I will do this, and I will do this. So, like, different tasks between each of us. So we can, everyone has his own contribution to what, like, Engy do the design, someone do the editing, and so on. So we contribute with different things.
I think it's mostly used in the context of distribution of roles, and then what
Yeah.
you can contribute or bring in to a collective or an organization or a group of people working together under any entity or formation, I think.
Service.
Do you want to share one? You can just share one. You don't need to find out. But no pressure.
I'm obsessed with the idea the ones I can't find. It
Oh.
means something.
Care has been
Someone
found.
found.
No one cares.
Collaboration.
Collaborate.
Yeah, collaboration, yeah.
Collaboration and contributor.
Oh, I also found cure.
Yes, she found the contribute. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not in the.
Uh,
I found the.
okay, so I have to say, how do I define collaboration?
Yes, but no pressure.
Working together, equal participation or equal agency,
Yeah.
co-laboring,
Equal what? Equal
agency.
Agency.
agency. Yeah. Communication.
Communication.
Yeah, it's the third row, right?
Third row from the right.
Do you have
Okay, so
definition for communication?
how do you think?
Amazing are we? How amazing are we?
So this is how you see communication.
Yeah.
Okay.
But do you have a definition for communication?
Definition for communication.
Yeah.
Yeah, something that you're able to express and be heard, and also listen in on what's being said,
and clarify if this is what they mean. So a communication is a constant open channel.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Service.
Yes.
Do you want to share it?
Service.
Service. Yeah.
Definition.
I think we have a conversation about service, a discussion about service when we were giving
We're
definition.
kind of thinking, like in very practical terms, how can we describe the practice that we do together as a collective to someone else? And do we situate this as a service or as some sort of support system? And then also, what is the difference between both? Because I feel from the very early days when we were discussing hospitality at large, Farbod made us consider something which is the host and guest dynamic. Because when you assume that you're being hospitable, you place yourself in the position of a host who, of course, has a different form of authority than a guest, for example. And this made us think of the nature of the work that we do, because we do it without really waiting for a return from others. And it's also, we were very skeptical that we don't really think of it as a charity, because it isn't. We feel that it's more of a collective effort. And we do this because there's also other similar, what we call sister initiatives, that we gain from similar things without really also having to think of it as a direct exchange. It's somewhat more a complex network of all of these exchanges. And the question was always, is what we do a service or support? Because also at some point we were thinking how, when you're doing a certain job and on a regular basis, and for example like what you were publishing, and then if it suddenly stops, then people are going to be asking, why is it stopping? Where is it? We need it. And then it becomes more of a responsibility towards, being able to provide, and then this constant provision. But yes, maybe you can tell us how you see service.
No, I mean, thank you for what you said. I'm just thinking, or what immediately occurred to me also, this idea of industrialization of service and this etymology of service that was also kind of in a way connected to this idea of servant. So, but this industrialization of service is also such a neoliberal kind of a concept. So how can we move this word or rephrase this word in the kind of a context, of again a collaboration or a working together, where two services actually come together to create something.
You found what?
Context.
Context. And how would you define context?
Well, I guess it's like the environment where something is taking place, but I feel it's a little bit more than that, because maybe when you say environment, you kind of haven't drawn the dots, but then if you kind of look at the etymology of context, it's like a text that is with something, so there's a kind of reading involved. Or like textile. It's like you're kind of making the connections, the networks, where something is situated. Yeah. So it's a little bit more active than maybe a sense of a kind of environment where you don't have an overview or something and you're immersed but can't read it. If that makes sense?
Yeah, of course. I think when we were thinking of context, we always think of it as the all-encompassing, also not just environment, but the other less tangible factors that can surround a practice or a group of people. And I think when we were discussing this earlier with Anna and the other participants online, and specifically discussing the funding means and context, we came to realize that because all of the participants come from different quote-unquote contexts, exactly, it was very hard to establish a common ground where we all feel like we can really share the hardships, B, the negotiation processes, and how to overcome these at the same time, without really factoring in that those different contexts impose different intricacies that we have to deal with separately. And I think it's different things really, so you have to sort of go case by case. And this makes it harder for us because in a way we always rely on our networks in the expanded sense and word of mouth, and it's all of these informal exchanges again of someone telling you how they were able to receive this grant, or it's even sometimes more basic things like how they were able to transfer money between two countries. But then again, there's no one rule fits all, and then every time you have to go do something like this, if you don't really know a person who has gone through the same process and also comes from the same conditions, then it's really, this kind of knowledge is very hard to retain because it's very in flux and it's very moving all the time. So I feel like, and this is a conversation that we stopped at for so many times, and we kept revisiting it because we would have this conversation and then stop mid-conversation and say, hey, but remember, it's not going to be the same. So I cannot really do what you're proposing here because I would have to do this and this and that.
Vishnu?
Mediation. Okay, and how would you define mediation?
Depends on if it's just mediation for information or in case of a conflict. So I'm thinking of it's a very dynamic process and also a role.
But where do you see a connection between both manifestations of the word, probably?
Where do I see what?
The connection between the word in both situations.
In information and conflict.
Mm-hmm.
A mediator is someone who is able to translate information that we may not be able to receive otherwise. So someone who's also enabling kind of listening process and is able to identify the needs of one party to another and relay it. I don't believe there's a non-bias space, but without diluting it with something else. So a mediation process is just relaying information from one channel to another.
I think when we had this discussion of whether this is a service or support, because it was a big question that we kept going back to quite often, and we felt more comfortable with the process of mediation, as to be someone who's there and then just passing something on without even really having a lot of input. Of course, the input is there because you make a selection, and by making the selection, it's already subjective. But we felt more comfortable with the thinking through mediation as a process that enables us to do that.
So are you also thinking of the process of mediation as synonymous to facilitation?
I think for us, we use the same, exactly two synonyms, because it's very hard to separate between the two, because it's this, again, it's an organizational process somehow.
I'm also curious to hear if someone has another way of interpreting this word, mediation.
Thank you. I think mediation, we're kind of used to thinking of it as something that happens after the work, but it can also be seen as something that happens from the start. So it's not a kind of a post process, but something that is integrated into the very fabric of how you think and approach and begin your discourse, which is another word here, and approach. So I think that's also something maybe to consider about the term. Is it perhaps perhaps related to what you were saying, Engy, earlier, like is it a service or is it actually something that's more integral to the process from the very beginning?
I didn't put notes on all of this. Okay. So,
I can have it. Thank you.
I started to make some molds, so I hope it works. Yeah, okay. So maybe, is it still hot? Yes? Yeah. Do you want to try?
Vishnu wants to try.
Yeah. You can just take one and pass it around.
And plan to try. So are we done with the words or?
Not yet. I think
Not yet,
we're
no?
almost done.
Yeah.
What is left?
The words. Did someone find another word? Violence. Guidance. Okay. Because I'm pretty sure we didn't put that in. Okay, so how would you describe it in your own words?
So I think with guidance, there's a mentorship, kind of a mentor-mentee relationship. So there's definitely a degree of hierarchy embedded within it. But I guess the underlying sense is that of care. So you provide a sense of direction, and there's definitely, someone who's more experienced, I guess. But it isn't so much based on exploitation.
But how so?
It's not based on exploitation, that's what I said.
Okay.
When I think of guidance, I immediately think of care.
Okay.
I don't know how you feel about it.
I think the way we were thinking about it is that we always work with word associations because we know that nothing exists in a vacuum anyways. And with guidance, I think we were also thinking of support. So in a way, like we always try to find a word and then find other synonyms somehow, but then that they can really, like for example, how we pair service and support, but then how we pair support and guidance in that sense.
Do we have another word? Missing? I didn't try. Or someone found?
I don't know if somebody found it already. Hospitality. It's
I
very
don't know.
complex.
No one found it. But I feel
I
that
don't know if I could relate to my mother tongue what it means. It means friend of a stranger, literally.
What is your mother tongue?
Greek.
Greek, okay.
So
friend of a stranger.
to be friends to a stranger.
No?
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
just.
No, I will do at the end.
Yeah. I don't know, it's a very heavy word
No?
for the past.
Yeah.
To keep the heart.
I don't know, it's something that I have to admit I keep looking, especially being away from where I come from. Besides the political, obviously, the political aspect of this. I think it's an identity, like in a person. So it's very complex.
Yeah.
Yes, I think hospitality is, I don't know how to formulate it, but it's to offer things that maybe it doesn't work with you, but you have to be generous when you are not on the same page. This is kind of hospitality, maybe.
Yeah. Or I see that I am generous, but I don't receive it back.
Yeah. I think in the publication we touch upon this, that we say that hospitality also relates to reciprocity somehow, so that how you can not expect something in return.
Yeah.
And it's also funny because, what was the translation again?
Friend of a stranger.
Friend, because in German it's Gastfreundschaft, which means guest friendship.
Yes. It's similar.
It's similar, exactly.
Yeah.
But with a guest, not with a stranger.
I don't know in English, like more academically. I don't know what it means.
No,
but academic, not.
But it really, I agree that it's really complex because our concept about hospitality, like for example, in Egypt, it's completely different from the term of hospitality in Europe. That's completely different. So I think maybe we have the opposite, like what you consider it hospitality, some areas consider it something that's not being hospitable to people.
Or like being hostile.
Hostile,
towards
yes.
someone. Like it's overstepping a certain boundary by being hospitable somehow. So it can really sort of backfire.
Yeah. And as artists, I found it very problematic in our relation with institutions about the term of hospitality. Because I think maybe the dynamics between artists and institutions need more refreshment to be more.
I don't know if it was the same, like some other period in this life, not my lifetime life, but at the moment, so I think it's so politically connected. So it's a very heavy word, I think, no? I don't know. I misunderstood it, but it's a very heavy word, I think, at the moment. Or at least how connected to where I come from and what's happening there. So that's why maybe I have this.
Personally, I don't really feel the heaviness as much as I feel the appropriation of the word. And especially when you think of hospitality and care and how these two terms have become somewhat instrumentalized to portray certain imagery or certain attitude towards different players, whether artists, institutions, whatever, and you don't really know how it manifests, or you don't really see how it plays out in that regard. And I feel that this is also coming in a post-pandemic backdrop, where this has become something of a buzzword that you keep hearing quite frequently, but you don't really see how it's being exercised or practiced.
Exactly.
I'm thinking of this aspect of like hospitality having again like two entities.
No pressure, just if you want.
And because you activated this thinking through language as well, I was thinking of how in my language there's no word for being a host or hospitality, but like there's the word for guest, which is ahwanitudu, and that's the one that is accepting or consenting to being hosted. And so I'm also like thinking of the essential or like in our current times of thinking about consent and
I saw your eyes, but for a moment I was like just
feminist optics of consent, or what you said on like stepping over somebody's boundaries by being hospitable. Yeah, I was thinking of like that that word of like the guest having more agency on, do I want to accept this hospitality or not? Yeah.
I don't know what they're making.
I think also in this year's publication, the name was changed. If you've seen the PDF, hospitality is striked out, and it's being redefined as the redistribution of resources somehow, because then the term is not as charged.
Thank you.
We have, I think, around 5 more words. So it's collective dialogue, participation, exchange, and discourse. Oh, and allocation.
يعني عايزة سكر زيادة. Do we have enough? Engy, Engy. أيوة بيكون. Engy, احنا في do we have another words?
The thing is, I think some of them are reversed. So, for example, you'll find dialogue on the fifth row, second letter from the bottom, so it goes up. I know this is a bit annoying.
What?
Do you need help? I think also the dough is ready if someone wants to try them out themselves.
I made some hearts, yes. And Farbod made some hearts too.
Yeah, we have the molds and everything.
Do we
And
still
I
have
left
words
some.
left?
I left some, so
5 words.
maybe if anyone would like to make his own shape, I left some without shapes. So, I think we're done now.
Yeah, okay, I think this is it for the day. Just another reminder, because this event has come at the end of a series of similar cooking sessions that we've had online with everyone else for the past month. So we invite you to go to Studio 2 and check out the video installation that Farbod has put together.
Yeah, it's on the Studio 2. You can check it out during the program. And thank you for being with us today.
Yeah.
See.
I just wanted to remind you that the program continues tomorrow, 10 a.m. with the session with Sigrid Holmwood and Marva Arzanius in the Studio 1, and then there's an afternoon workshop which is fully booked, but you can of course try to come and see. Thank you. See you tomorrow, hopefully.